Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. Alhamdulillah. This evening, you are welcomed to the next chapter event discussing faith, families, and festivities. Inshallah, tonight, we hope to educate new Muslims on how to approach certain events and situations. Primarily, what we'll be speaking about is family invites, work parties, greetings, gifts, and children. And I have the honor to be joined with Shaykh Abu Usamah, who will be discussing these matters with me. Shaykh, how are you feeling?
Alhamdulilah, I'm feeling well. We ask Allah for the khair of the dunya and the akhirah. And I would like to say that you said that you were honored to have me to be truthful to you and with you. I'm honored to be with you, Muhammad, and the team of brothers who work behind the scenes here at GLM. You guys, inshallah, do a lot that people don't see. But Allah Azza wa Jalla, He's al-Basir, and we ask Him to shakara lakum, inshallah, sa'yukum.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. So this evening, we're here on behalf of IslamWise, Alhamdulilah. And we're going to jump straight into it, wasting no time, inshallah, with the first question that we have for you this evening. And that is, before you became Muslim, was the holiday period a big deal for you? And what was it like at those times where you had become a Muslim, the holiday period?
Yeah, Christmas was really big. Christmas and Easter, birthdays, Thanksgiving in America. But I think Christmas was probably the biggest one because of the toys that were connected to it, the commercialism. In terms of the theory and in terms of practicing and theology, I think Christianity looks at Easter as being the most important one. Christmas is more commercial, as I said. So it was very big to me, to the point where probably like most reverts, and it's normal, if I were to hear some of the Christmas carols, they can stop you in your tracks. And you have this feeling, this fuzzy feeling that you used to have as a result of it being an integral part of, your makeup growing up. I think it was a few years ago, I was traveling on the train around Christmas time, and I'm pretty sure it was Sheffield, the train station of Sheffield. And when I arrived at the station and I was making my way out of the station, there was a choir there, and they were singing some Christmas songs. And some of those songs you liked more than others. They meant more than others. And they were singing one particular song, and it kind of stopped me in my tracks. The reason for that is not because I believe in that, not because I like music, not because I have an iota of Iman in that Christmas, or I missed it. It was just that it was in my DNA, similar to Diana Ross and the Motown sound. Getting up every day, preparing for school, my mother would turn on, that kind of music. Being in high school in the school system where I come from, we used to turn on BLS, WBLS. So to this very day, if I were to hear certain songs that were out when I was young, those songs, they have an effect and an impact upon a person. So that's just how it is to be a human being. And there are many examples for that. Today, at the age that I am, if I were to take a marble, the game, the marble that you shoot, looking into the marble and looking at the sky and the prism, the color of the marbles, that takes me back to when I was a little boy, because it's just something that was part of what it was to be young. So to answer the question, absolutely, Christmas was big to me and big to my family. I had a family, we were really close, and my mother and my father, they went the extra yard, working hard. They went the extra yard to set up the Christmas tree as the month of December progressed and it got closer to Christmas and Christmas Eve. It was just an amazing sight how my mother and especially my mother and my sister, my oldest sister, they turned the living room into a piece of artwork. And it was right under our very eyes because we're going to bed. But my mother was committed to making that Christmas mean something to me. And I have to say this. Now, as a father in Islam, I travel a lot, so I miss the Eid. I miss the Eid of Al-Adha because I'm in Hajj. And I'm home for the Eid of Al-Fitr. But I'm tired. On the day of the Eid, I want to give the khutbah, give love to the Muslims, and I want to go home. But my wife is always telling me, Abu, you have to really make bigger effort. You got to make jihad. Because I say, take the kids to Small Heath Park and have a good time. I'm going to stay here. But I say, no, I have to, push myself, because for my non-Muslim parents and relatives to be so committed to Christmas with all of the shirk, with all of the khurafat, with all of the hocus pocus connected to it, how can I as a dad not put that same effort in the whole the process of making the Eid big like that for my children? So it was big, Muhammad, really big.
Definitely. So when you became Muslim, where did you start to kind of take yourself away from Christmas and telling your family that, look, I know you're doing all of this, and you put in so much effort, heart and soul is going into everything that you're doing, but I can't be a part of this because of Al-Islam?
Well, for me, when I became a Muslim, I was pretty young and I still was living at home with my parents. I got in trouble. And then I came out of the special university that I was in, where I became a Muslim. So I went and I was staying with my parents, but I don't remember staying there very long. I stayed with them for only a few short months, and then I got out and I got my own apartment. So as soon as I became a Muslim, I became more productive and more independent and focused. So I got my own flat, my own apartment. So I really didn't have that problem of being at home and having to deal with Christmas. There would have been a bigger problem for me in my mother's house when I was there and I was standing. That is, my parents, they had a dog, actually. So no, that was later on. They didn't have a dog when we lived in the projects. When we lived in the projects, they didn't have a dog. But later on, when they purchased their house, they had a dog. So that was an everyday issue. Whenever I go to visit them, they had 2 dogs running around. And to be honest, I tell them to this day, I think one of those dogs is crazy and the other one definitely has a shaitan in it. They're 2 white French poodles and they were a problem. So that was an ongoing issue that I had to deal with. And in saying that, Muhammad, we're talking about holidays, but having dogs living with you because you're with your parents, that is a challenge. The Muslim revert has to know how to deal with it. Having pictures all over the house. I mean, when I became a Muslim, I was around some people who made some bonehead decisions. Alhamdulilah, I didn't do those things to estrange myself from my relatives. I mean, we had a close relationship, and I just wasn't that daft. But I do know some people who, the brother, he took the family pet. He took the dog and let the dog out in the park, not realizing that the dog has become a member of the family. If the dog is sick, the parent's going to take that dog to the vet and spend money on that dog. The brother broke the pictures of his mother, grandmother, grandfathers, aunties, pictures that the parents were saving for nostalgic effect and reasons. So we say to the brothers and sisters, pump your brakes, whether you drive or you don't drive. It's figurative. Slow down and know that the Prophet said to us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in issues like this, inna fikum munaffirin. Verily, from you Muslims, there are those people who run people away from the religion. And that's because you're too rough, you're too tough, you're too coarse. You can't be like that. So we have to try to struggle to find the Siratul Mustaqim. So a lot of the reverse are new. And we make this dua, Ihdina Siratul Mustaqim. Surah Al-Fatiha, we read it every day. So if you're reading that every day and then you come from Salat and you're rough and tough, or you're too lackadaisical, you're not understanding what it is to say, Ihdina Siratul Mustaqim. So don't be too far to the right, rough and tough, and don't be too far to the left. Everything is okay. So your parents have a dog, so you kiss the dog in the mouth. You feed the dog from your plate. You practice Christmas. You wear a cross. So during the Christmas time, you say Merry Christmas and so forth and so on. Let's just be in the balance, inshallah.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair. So you're saying that when it came to the festive time, how did you deal with your family being were they upset with you? I know you weren't living there, but when that period came, I know they would have expected you to be there, at least to even kind of attend by in a way to like show respect for that matter. How did you deal with that?
Well, for me, alhamdulillah, I wouldn't say that I have a unique situation, but by the mercy of Allah, I've always been close to my family, and we've have been close knit. Growing up, I used to hang out with my cousins, the boys and the girls. We were like very close. And you know, in Jahiliyyah, you have boyfriends, you have girlfriends. That's just the way life is. So with my family, if you were the boyfriend of one of our cousins and you did her wrong, we were well known that you're going to, you know, get hands laid on you. So we were known for that, for being a family who hung out together, stuck together, we partied together. And when I say party, we did everything together. So when I became a Muslim, it was just a natural process that everybody respected my decision to be a Muslim. Some of them didn't necessarily like it, especially those who are very conservative from the South. But when I used to talk to them, the little bit that I knew about Islam and the dalala of Christianity is so far away. You know, when we say again Surah Al-Fatiha, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Guide us to the way, the right way. Don't guide us to the way of the dalleen, meaning the Christians. You see the dalala of Christianity at Christmas time. Christmas, the stuff that they do, the things that they believe. So as a new Muslim, when I was talking to my parents about Christmas and what you're doing, it didn't make any sense. They were not able to push what I was saying back because it's just, you know, a bunch of hocus pocus, khurafat, open sesame. It has nothing to do with the price of peanuts except paganism. So they didn't like it, some of them, but the vast majority of them, they respected the decision. They were happy because my life became better. I can't really relate, Afwan Muhammad, I can't really relate to a lot of the Muslims who have these internal problems with their parents. I see Muslims today who, once they start practicing, she puts hijab on, she puts niqab on, he starts to grow his beard. He's born and raised as a Muslim, an Arab, Pakistani brother, sister. The mother, the father, the cousin, the aunties, they start calling him a Wahhabi. They start saying you are an extremist. He has nothing to do with Qaeda, nothing to do with ISIS. He or she, they're just trying to practice the religion that their relatives claim. And then the relatives give them a hard time. I see more problems and enmity and animosity coming from Muslims towards their relatives than what I receive. But granted, there are some Muslims who, when they become Muslims, reverts, they have a lot of problems from their relatives. That wasn't my narrative, and I have to say Alhamdulilah for the parents that I have, my two sisters, my brother who died, but all my relatives, I really didn't have any problems with them except from one. I have a relative, he was really close to me in Jahiliyyah. This was my man. We were close. I would say his name, but he may see this. And we were like brothers, although we were cousins. And then he became a member of the Nation of Islam. And he was a minister in the nation. I have more enmity from him towards me than the rest of my relatives. And he's supposed to be a Muslim. And the reason why I have that enmity is what Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran. لَتَجِدَنَّ أَشَدَّ النَّاسِ عَدَاوَةً لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الْيَهُودِ وَالَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا. You'll find the people who have the most animosity and enmity and hatred toward those who believe are the Yahud and those people who are polytheists. So the Nation of Islam, they're polytheists. Wala karama. By the Lord of the Kaaba, they are mushrikun. So my cousin, the one who I was closest to this very day, he's a minister with the Nation of Islam. I give dawah to al-Islam, and there's animosity from him towards me. As for me, I feel bad because I always hoped and wished that me and that guy would stay very close, but he's not trying to hear that. May Allah guide him, guide our parents, inshallah.
So I think what we can take away from that, inshallah, is that no matter, like, as you have you become Muslim, right, you know what your priorities may be, and you should always be open to kind of giving da'wah to the people who are around you about what you're upon at the moment. So whoever accepts it will accept it, and those people who choose to respect it will respect it. But then there'll be other people who may not choose to want to do that, and it's not upon you to force them, and it's not upon you to actually make them like what you're doing, but just to be true to yourself, inshallah, and true to your religion. And then if anyone has a question, you can also share it with them and say, this, I do this because of that, I don't celebrate Christmas because of this, and you should have an answer ready. Correct?
Absolutely correct. Allah mentioned in the Quran, وَلَن تَرْضَ عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَالنَّصَارَى حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُم. The Yahud and the Christians will not be happy with you until you follow their way. So the sunnah of all of the prophets and all of the messengers, salawatullah wa salamu alayhim, all of them, Jesus, Moses, all of them, was that they drew a line in the sand. And they said to their people, Lakum dinukum waliya din. You have your way and I have my way. I'm a Muslim. So Allah mentioned in the Quran that we have a perfect example in Ibrahim. وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ إِذْ قَالُوا لِقَوْمِهِمْ إِنَّا بُرَاءَ مِنْكُمْ مِمَّا تَعْبُدُونَ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ كَفَرْنَا بِكُمْ وَبَدَا بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمُ الْعَدَاوَةُ وَالْبَغْضَاءُ أَبَدًا حَتَّى تُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَحْدَهُ. You Muslims have a perfect example in Ibrahim. Jews and Christians claim they believe in Ibrahim. You have a perfect example in Ibrahim and those believers who were with him when they said to their people, we are free from what you worship along with Allah. There has presented itself enmity and animosity between us and you forever until you worship Allah alone. So as a Muslim, I can't acquiesce about being a Muslim. Islam is Islam. But when Ibrahim, who we have a good example, a perfect example in, when he became a Muslim, he still used to say to his father, as the Quran said, Ya abata, oh my respected father, don't do that. Oh my respected father, why are you worshiping this? Oh my respected father. So you have to absolutely have respect for your parents. You can't be a person who is a Muslim and you think as a result of being a Muslim that you start and you ignite the fire of hatred towards your family. No way in the world. The Prophet ﷺ's grandfather and his uncle, they helped him a lot. They loved him, they honored him, they protected him. So Allah established in the Quran in a very clear ayah, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِ مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. For those reverts out there, especially the new ones, Allah told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, verily you don't have the ability, Ya Muhammad, to guide those who you love, but Allah guides those who he wishes to guide. So look how Rasulullah was gentle, wise, forbearing. He was the best example. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You're on a high level of akhlaq. Abu Usamah may get upset. Abu Usamah may, respond to something and he's not wise about it. He does something in a way that he'll regret it. Does something that may cause someone not to come into al-Islam. But Rasulullah wasn't like that. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the perfect gentleman. And yet, he didn't have the ability to guide those people who were around him. And the ayah shows you don't guide those who you love. So it's natural to love your mother. It's natural to love your father. So as a result of that, we owe them, the haqq of giving them the dawah in the best way possible and being gentle and easy with them. Abu Hurairah, and this is why we tell our brothers and sisters who have reverted to this religion, don't take this religion of Islam as a result of looking at the Arabs or Africans or Asians, Pakistanis and Indians. Respect them and the good aspects of their culture, and we appreciate they preceded us to Islam. But our example is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and those companions. So the point is, Abu Hurairah's mother used to curse Rasulullah and used to get on her son's last nerve. He got so upset that she was cursing him. He got so upset he just left the house. And he went to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a state of, being disturbed. What's the matter? Abu Hurairah, the Prophet says, Ya Rasulullah, my mother, she keeps saying these words about you to me, and I just can't handle it. He said, go back to your mother, Abu Hurairah. He went back to his mother. Rasulullah had made dua. that Allah guide her. Allah answered Rasulullah's prayer. When Abu Huraira came and, knocked on the door, he could hear the water. Then his mother said, Abu Huraira, stay at the door, Abu Huraira. She was making a ghusl. After that, she came out and she said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah. So the narration has it like that she embraced Islam. The question that presents itself now, some of our relatives are, mean pieces of work. We have mothers who are problem, fathers who are problems, uncles, Sikh, they're Sikhs and Hindus, and some of them have this deep-rooted hatred for Islam and Muslims. So the Hindu brother, Sikh brother becomes Muslim, ex-Sikh, ex-Hindu, and they hear the worst things from their mother and father. And then that child curses the mother out, swears at the mother, saying, I'm defending Islam. La wallahi. Just to make this point, because it's important, I think. Yeah. On social media, I saw an ex-Hindu girl being interviewed by an Arab brother. And she was talking about how she gave up all of this stuff for Islam. And they had one of those auto tones in the background, not music, but that thing. Brother, when I saw that thing, my heart went out to that sister. It's really popular. And the interviewer just started crying. He just started crying right there. That thing has over 1 million hits. The thing that resonated with me was, man, that girl is a serious mujahida, inshallah. That girl is a serious mujahida, that she would forsake all of that and deal with all of that, what her parents were saying to her, but she still tried to maintain the course of being a Muslim, and while doing so, respecting her parents. So the call right here is, I say to everyone, even if your parents are non-Muslims, Islam told you the one who has the most rights over you, your mother, and then your father, and that's even if they're non-Muslims.
SubhanAllah. Jazakallah khair. I want to discuss now, as Muslims, right? How do we then deal with family and friends inviting us, the invitations that go out during the holiday periods? And is it okay do you attend and throughout with respect and say, like, I won't take part in this, I won't take part in this, but I will be there physically? Do we accept the invitations, or do we just say, look, I can't go?
If they invited us to a festivity that they were going to have, and they were going to make the ibraz and the izhar of their kufr and their shirk and their disobedience to Allah, they're going to manifest these things. They're going to do Santa Claus, and they're going to worship other than Allah, and they're going to do that. They're inviting you to come and to participate in that. Then it's not permissible. It's not permissible by the text of the Quran and the Sunnah. And that's the ijma' of the ulama of Islam. Rasulullah told us, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that his ummah, majtama'at ummati ala dalala, my ummah will never unanimously agree to something that's wrong. All of the scholars are in agreement that it's not permissible for a Muslim to, attend a place, an invitation where kufr is being taught and spread and celebrated. And there are a number of proofs for that. There's a surah in the Quran called Surah Al-Furqan. Al-Furqan. The word Faruq comes from this. Faruq, the criterion. Allah Ta'ala talks about his servants, the Ibadur Rahman. وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنَ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. The servants of Allah, Ar-Rahman. What are their superlatives, the characteristics? They walk on the earth and they are humble people. They're humble. Before Christmas, during Christmas, after Christmas, humble in their dawah. To their relatives who are Muslims and non-Muslims, they're humble. And if ignorant people, like people from other religions who don't know our religion and don't understand why we do what we do, if they address them, they say to them peace. They respond in a nice way. So this Surah Al-Furqan mentions some characteristics of these people. And one of the characteristics in the ayat or two ayats gives us the answer that it's impermissible. Allah Ta'ala mentioned, وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورِ وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا. The servants of Ar-Rahman are those people who do not bear witness to falsehood. La yashhaduna az-zur. Az-zur is false statements. Someone says he stole it and you know he didn't steal it. To say something about someone that is not true. They don't do that. They don't bear witness to that. Hey, I want you to come to the court of law and I want you to be my witness, and you know full well I embezzled the money, but I want you to say I didn't. No, I can't do that because the ayats, Ibadur Rahman. Well, they don't witness falseness. And what's more false than وَقَالُوا اتَّخَذَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَلَدًا, and they say Ar-Rahman, Allah, has taken a son. That's falsehood. I'm not going to go to a place where they're saying that, where they're practicing that, where they're celebrating that. So we don't go to that. Thanksgiving, for an example, was last month in America. They decimated the Native Americans and killed them. And now we're going to celebrate that and call that Thanksgiving. And as an African American, I'm the last person on the face of the earth who should be ready to celebrate the oppression of another group of people. How would someone feel if we were going to celebrate the Holocaust? It's going to be politically incorrect, but we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving, which is oppression. I say no, not only Christmas. So Thanksgiving is not even a religious holiday. It's a cultural holiday. We don't participate in that. Why? Because it's falsehood. So we're not. So that ayah shows, no, I can't celebrate Thanksgiving. I can't celebrate Christmas because it's falsehood. And there are other proofs Allah Ta'ala mentioned showing it's not permissible. وَنُزِّلَ عَلَيْكُمْ فِي الْكِتَابِ أَنْ إِذَا سَمِعْتُمْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ يُكْفَرُ بِهَا وَيُسْتَهْزُءُ بِهَا أَنْ لَا تَقْعُدُوا مَعَهُمْ حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِهِ إِنَّكُمْ إِذٍ مِثْلُهُمْ. It has been revealed upon you, Muhammad, in the Quran, that if you see the ayat of Allah being disbelieved and you see the ayat of Allah being made fun of, then you should not sit with people who are doing that. فَلَا تَقْعُدُوا مَعَهُمْ حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِهِ. Don't sit with them until they change that speech. If you sit with them, then you'll like them. And the Prophet told us in the authentic hadith that we can't be like other non-Muslims. مَنْ تَشَبَّهَ بِقَوْمٍ فَهُوَ مِنْهُمْ. Anyone who resembles a group of people, then he's from those people, meaning it's not permissible. So, no. If they invite us, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, these things are falsehood, we don't go. Weddings, funerals, if they're going to act up and cut up, we don't go unless we can validate our presence. Now, if you can validate your presence by being there, different story. But not everybody can validate their presence, and maybe we could talk about that now or later. I mean, that's up to you. So
no, give us an example, inshallah.
So let me repeat. If the invitation is come and just let's kick back and chill and watch the NFL and the NBA, and we're just going to watch this, soccer game, this football game, because it's Christmas time, and we're going to just, party and it's a Christmas, and you say no. Now, if they said it's Christmas Day and just let's come and we're going to hang out, then that's different. We can get into that. As it relates to the issue of what we mentioned, what was the point again? What was the point?
Having a validation.
To validate it. So now I go to America 3 or 4 times every year before Corona. So I get invited to a lot of Somali communities in America, a lot of African American communities. They want me to come over and participate in their Easter programs, their Thanksgiving programs. So I get an opportunity to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I go and do the program for the Muslims and give dawah, and then I always go to see my mom Dukes. May Allah bless her, give her prosperity and longevity, because just the 18th of December yesterday was her birthday. It was the day she was born, and I called my mother. I didn't say happy birthday, Ma, but I said, Ma, you got to stick in there. You got to hang in there, Ma. You're the only one that we have. May Allah give you prosperity and longevity. By calling her that, she loves that. And I give her dawah. So now how do we validate ourselves? When I'm there and they're having their Christmas dinner or whatever, I'm giving them dawah. So a lot of the younger generation, they look at me as their uncle and as their cousin and someone from their family. They know I'm a Muslim who lives overseas and I traveled extensively. So they want to listen to what I have to say. Hip hop culture has given them Islamic words and concepts the way they are. They're more exposed to things than we were at that age. So it's a lot of good that comes from this younger generation and a lot of evil. So they want to hear me. So we sit down and we open up the discussion about the validity of Easter, the validity of Christmas. And then they start to say to themselves, you know, that's right. Why are we doing this? And then with the Black Lives Movement and what's happening in America with African Americans and the disparity between the way we are policed and other people, these young people from this generation, my relatives anyway, they start to sit back and start to ponder. So they contact me, Uncle Khalifa, I want to be a Muslim. So they embrace Islam. They come close to Islam. They get close to Islam. So when they're dating my niece, when they're dating my cousin, now you have someone who is in the ear of the family and they're talking about these ideas and concepts. So we validate ourselves and our presence for being there by giving dawah. So the funeral, I go to our funeral. Anybody who dies from my family, if I can make it, I make it. And I say, let me get that mic. I want to participate in the eulogy. I want to talk about Uncle Ed. I want to talk about Uncle Moss. I want to talk about what I remember about this aunt and this one and that one. And I'll tell them a story about what happened a long time ago, put some humor in there at a day of mourning, and then I'll start talking about the inevitable journey of Uncle Ed. And what are we going to do when this day comes to us? Are we ready to die believing Allah is a white man with blue eyes and blonde hair, and you can't explain that? Isa ibn Maryam in the Quran, in the Bible that you are reading, he doesn't look like this Isa, this Jesus that was forced down our throats when we were taken from West Africa. So that's the way we validate our presence, and that's not for everybody. So I say, if your relationship with your parents and your relatives is not like that, then you probably want to stay away. But then we have those people, and we have to speak to the reality on the ground. And the reality on the ground is we do have some brothers and sisters who, if they don't show up to those activities, those festivities, it's going to have a bad impact upon them. So in that case, they should get advice from people who understand and know and have open minds, who can give them some advice, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah, I think that's definitely right. I mean, every situation is different, and everything is you can't give a general answer. It's going to be specific to the person. Now, you mentioned something a bit earlier about going to a family house, a gathering on Christmas Day, but not necessarily to celebrate Christmas. It's just on, say, Christmas Day, because everyone's off. You know, no one's working, so we take the opportunity to visit relatives on that day because we have time off. So, is those gatherings okay? Because we're not gathering for the sake of Christmas, but we're taking the opportunity of everyone being off on the holidays.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's why I made the distinction. If you get invited and they're going to celebrate the celebration and they're going to show and manifest disbelief and disobedience, you don't go. But if they invite you on that day because it's the day we're all going to get together and we're all off of work, for you can go to those places. Will be ni'mah. For be ni'mah. Go, no problem. Your job has a Christmas dinner, Christmas lunch. They're not telling you to do anything about Santa Claus, and just come. You go, no problem. Don't make yourself the odd man out. Don't make yourself that Muslim who, you know, you're always trying to be strange and weird, causing people to look at you. And that's why we have to set the balance. Don't be the guy who is rough and tough, anti-sociable, and don't be the person who's going to jump in the water and you say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. No, You have to be better than that. So there's nothing wrong with that. Here at Green Lane Masjid, another masajid around the globe in the West, don't we have Christmas conferences?
Yeah.
So some people are like, why you call it Christmas conference? Okay, no problem. La mashaha fil mustalahat. No problem. Let's call it the winter conference. No problem. But we're taking off and we're taking advantage of it because the Christmas holidays. It's not anything to do with us. Innamal a'malu binniyat. Our niyat is we're coming together to visit our relatives, to show love and to be with them. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So what we're going to do, our job gives us a few days off for Christmas, the holidays, and we're going to say, no, I want to work these days, and you better open up the door and don't give me a Christmas bonus. You going to say that? Who's going to say that? Who's going to say that is the mutashaddid. The mutashaddid. That guy who is very difficult to exist with him. Now, I'm all for drawing a line in the sand. Lakum dinukum waliya deen. To you is your way and to my way. But you have to know how and when to do that.
Definitely. So going back to what you're saying about working and Christmas parties. You're invited to a Christmas party at work. And let's say it's not necessarily to celebrate Christmas, but you may have this thing they call Secret Santa, where there is participating in the giving of gifts and receiving of gifts. That's what I want to talk about. Are you okay to receive a gift for Christmas, like a Christmas gift?
First of all, as it relates to Santa, I hope we can get around to Santa, man. We got to talk about Santa Claus, Kris Kringle. We got to talk about that cat. But as it relates to answering this question, receiving gifts from the non-Muslims, when they give you a gift during their holidays and because of their holidays, it's permissible to take it. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah talked about this, rahmatullah alayhi, and other scholars. And they show how some of the Salaf, premier personalities from the Salaf, used to do this. Ali ibn Abi Talib, he accepted gifts from some Magians doing their celebration of Nayrouz. They had a celebration and they gave him a gift on the day, and because of that, he took it. Our mother Aisha, who was from the scholars of the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, some wet nurses came to her, women who used to breastfeed other people's babies, and they said, Ya al-Mu'mineen, you're the scholar, these non-Muslims from the Magians, they give us these gifts and stuff because we're wet nurses, and they give us gifts to show their appreciation during their holidays. Should we take this food? She said, yes, take the vegetables, but don't take the meat that was slaughtered. Don't take the meat because they're slaughtering for other than Allah. So generally speaking, guys, it's permissible to take gifts from non-Muslims. Prophet Muhammad himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he took gifts from the Muqawqas. The Muqawqas was the king of Egypt, and he sent Rasulullah a gift. He gave him a slave girl, was Maria, the Coptic, who his son Ibrahim came from. She was a slave that was given to the Nabi as a gift, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That king also gave him, along with Maria, radiyallahu anha, he gave him a baghl, a cross between a horse and a mule, a horse and a donkey. Rasulullah took it. And the Jewish lady, she cooked a lamb and roasted it and put poison in it. And Muhammad, come and have it. It was a gift. He went and he started eating it. And it was a miracle that the roast started speaking to him and telling him, it's poison in here. So he took the gift. And Imam al-Bukhari and Sahih al-Bukhari has a chapter based on that hadith, the permissibility of taking gifts from mushrikeen. So generally speaking, we could take gifts from these people, no problem. And on their holidays, if they give you a gift, Christmas and this and that, you could take the gift, provided the gift is not meat that was slaughtered for other than Allah's haram, provided that the gift is not an expression, an example of the holiday. For an example, a Christmas tree. For an example, in Christianity they use the palms, you know, the palms, certain leaves and stuff. Ash Wednesday, they have symbols and things. They give you a cross. You can't take things like that, provided that it's not stolen, provided it's not something that is, you know, pointing to shirk and kufr. But if they gave you a cake, they gave you a coat, they bought you a car, what are we going to tell them? The guy comes and say, yo, here's an Audi, man. I'm going to break you off with this Audi because it's Christmas. I'm in a good mood. Here, go, you can have this. I'm going to say, nah, I don't want the Audi. Lakum dinakum waliya deen. Now I'm going to say, let me have the Audi and thank you very much. And then there's another thing about our relatives, Akhi Muhammad. And I hope the people pay attention to this. How in the world is someone going to come and out of the goodness of their heart think about you, purchase a gift for you and bring that gift to you, and it doesn't compromise your religion in any way, but it's his religion and he's giving it to you because of his celebration. He wants to give you that gift and you say, I don't want that. How do you think that's going to affect him? Don't you know in our religion the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tahadu tahabu. Tahadu tahabu. That's a hadith you guys should learn. Tahadu tahabu. Exchange gifts, Muslims, between yourselves, and it will force the love. It will create love, because I appreciate you brought this gift back from me from Lebanon. I appreciate you took the time out to go shopping and then get me this Tom Ford perfume, Ibrahim. This Tom Ford perfume. While we were traveling, the brother went and brought me some Tom Ford perfume.
MashaAllah.
So the non-Muslim gives you that, and then when he gives it to you, put it on you throw it on the ground, and it splatters all over the place, and you say, "Hey, Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad." They say, nah, la, man. You got to get yourself together. That's not da'wah Allah. Inna minkum munaffirin. From you Muslims are those who are experts at running people away from the religion.
MashaAllah. So accepting the gift is okay. Alhamdulilah.
Accepting the gift during their holidays is permissible. Outside of their holidays is permissible. And there is a hadith we have to mention. There's a hadith that the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nuhina an zubad al-mushrikeen. We have been prohibited from receiving the gifts of the polytheists. That's an authentic hadith. Nuhina an zubad al-mushrikeen. We've been prohibited from taking the gifts of the mushrikeen. The meaning of that hadith, as the scholar said, is when the non-Muslims give you a gift, but it's like a bribe. They give you a gift and they want you to turn a blind eye to something. They give you a gift, but they just greasing your hands, you know? Like, you know, come on, I'm going to break you off with this. Just let me do this. That's what that hadith is talking about. So don't just take that hadith on what's apparent and then reject those other incidents that we talked about where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam accepted gifts. So you can accept gifts from non-Muslims when they give them to you because of their holidays, as long as they don't go against the religion.
MashaAllah. But you cannot give a gift back, or can you?
You can't give them a gift. You cannot give them a gift during the times of their celebrations, because you are in essence saying to them, I agree. This celebration has some truth to it. So here, that's not permissible. Allah told us in the Quran, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Cooperate with each other in righteousness and doing the right thing, and don't cooperate in oppression and sinning. The small surah of the Quran, but it's big in its meaning. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. So we have to have this mutual dealing with each other on the truth and with the truth. And we have to be mutually dealing with each other with sabr. So giving them a gift in Christmas time, a Christmas gift, you can't do that because you are making iqrar. Iqrar is like you are saying, yes, this thing is cool. You can't do that because in order to be a Muslim, you have to make al-bara from them. You have to make bara from shirk and from the mushrikeen. So in order to be a Muslim, you have to establish that you have to negate there's no God worthy of worship. No God who is worthy of worship. And then you establish except Allah. And similar to that, you have to free yourself from shirk. You just can't say I'm a Muslim and that's it. You have to free yourself from shirk and from the mushrikeen. And that means you don't do any of their ibadah. Their ibadah. And the emojis that we send out when you want to say, give me prayers. You don't send the emoji with the hands like this because we don't pray like that. This is how Christians pray. This is how people, Chinese people and the people in the Orient. So if you want to send that emoji, send the emoji like this. This is how the Muslim in his religion frees himself from shirk and the mushrikeen. And if you're like me, African American, if you're a person of color, I would advise that you put some melanin in the color. No, you don't have to, Muhammad, but I don't know why somebody like me would put a white one. It's permissible to do that if you want. But I'm just saying, don't do the one like this. So we don't do any of their ibadah. No. We don't do any of the aqidah. We don't believe in what they believe in. The malaika are fallen angels. The Iblis is a fallen angel. We don't believe in that stuff. Eve went to the apple tree. We don't believe in that. We don't believe Adam and Eve went to the apple tree because that's their aqidah. And the third thing, freeing yourself from the shirk and the mushrikeen, is we don't do their Eid, any of their celebrations. We don't participate. So a man came and he said, Ya Rasulullah, I did an oath. Oh Allah, my wife is sick. If you make her well, I give £1,000 as sadaqah to the Muslims. If he says that and he keeps his oath, it's a good thing, but it's better not to do that. The man said, Ya Rasulullah, I did an oath that I'm going to slaughter for Allah a camel at a place called Bawana. Rasulullah, not knowing the unseen, he said, this place Bawana, where you want to do this oath, where you did it, is that a place where the idols of the mushrikeen are there? The cross, their statues, what they believe in and worship, are there idols there? The man said, no. He said, this place Bawana, is that a place where the non-Muslims celebrate their celebrations? The man said, no. He said, Idhan ofi binadhrik, then go ahead and do your oath. So we understand from that, have the man say, yes, that's where their idols are. The church is there. That's where they do their ibadah. That's where the temple, the Sikh place. No, then don't do it there. Yes, that's where they have their Eid. Then no, don't do it. So all of that is proof that we don't give them gifts. We don't give them gifts. But if they give us gifts, we take it. Now, giving them gifts outside of their celebrations, now that's permissible. They had a baby, they got a promotion, they graduated. We give them a gift, no problem.
MashaAllah. Now, earlier you mentioned something about children, right? During these quote unquote festive periods, you know, being living here, our children sometimes they feel left out of these celebrations during the festive periods. How do we stop children from feeling left out during the festive periods?
Now, here is the challenge. I feel up until this very point, what we're talking about, although it's empirical through experience and through trial and error, we've seen the beauty of Islam in terms of the rulings of what we've been saying. Why is halal or why is haram, this or that? But now when we come to the issue of our babies, now is the challenge. Man, this is the challenge. So in this society, our kids have identity crisis as Muslims. They want to wear their hair a certain way. They want to dress a certain way. They want to talk a certain way. Look at social media. Look at TikTok. There are Muslim girls who are doing things because this is the culture. This is how the millennials just get down like that. So as parents, now we have to be really on top of our job. My little man, may Allah preserve all my babies. My little man, I put him inside of the nursery at 3 years old and some change. He's 3 and some change, 4. And it's mostly Muslims. It's in our area. It's probably 100% Muslims. But the staff and the people who are the leaders of the staff are Christians, but not practicing, not Muslims. When we put them in there, and in this country, you take your kid to school half of the day till he gets used to it. They got a nice system. And they really seem like they like our kids. I really liked being a part of that process. But then that was 2 months ago when he started. Now Christmas rolled around. I'm living in Leeds. When I came to Birmingham on my day off, I go to get my little man. And I take him to school. I'm taking my little homie to school. And when I get to the door, I notice there's a Christmas tree up in this joint. I was shocked. All right, this is the real life. We never thought about that when we brought the kid to the school. All right, let my little man go into the school. I started talking to the lady who's in charge of the school. I said, listen, I'm not from ISIS. I'm not Qaeda. Let her cool out. I'm not like that. But I am a principled person. I'm a Muslim. And I began to tell her, listen, what's going on? What's the schedule? So she started telling me, nah, we don't, force them to do anything. If they're going to draw, if the kid wants to join, he will join in. If he wants to join in, he'll join in. If not, come on, what kid is not going to join in?
Yeah.
He's 4 years old. What do you think he's going to sit on the side and say that, Allah said in the Quran, لا يتخذ المؤمنون الكافرين أولياء من دون المؤمنين. My kid's going to say that? My kid's going to get involved. Santa Claus come walking through the door, ho, 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 ho. My kid is going to be like everybody else. Yo, who this cat in the red suit right here? And he's going to want to be a part of that. I said, come on, you can't be serious. So we were talking. She was very, very appreciative that we talked about it. She told me, listen what happened once here, Mr. At-Thahabi. She said after 9/11 one year, a father came in with Legos, and the father had built, this is what she said, wallahi, by the Lord of the Kaaba. She said that the father built 2 buildings and gave his son a Legos airplane or some airplane, and the kid took the airplane and hit it and knocked the building over. And it was the father's way of giving dawah. I said, listen, I'm appalled at that. I personally, if that happened, I'm against that. That's not knowledge. That's not my religion. And she said, I know, I'm just showing you how some people are. I said, that's a person who doesn't understand Islam. Whereas what I'm trying to tell you is I'm a Muslim parent, and I don't want my kid being exposed to that. And I want to know what we're going to do about it, because I'm seeing you guys are bombarding him with all of this stuff. You know what the teacher told me, Muhammad? She said, but the staff members who are Muslims, they do it. That was her dalil. I said, look, with all due respect, those brothers and sisters, those ladies, those staff members, because they may see me right now doing this. I don't want to be disrespectful to them. I told the lady, those staff members, I don't take my deen from them. I don't take my religion from them. I told her, look, like Christianity, I'm telling you, and I'm saying to you, as a white lady, don't look at me as us and them. I'm telling you, you can be a Muslimah. And if you're going to be a Muslim, I would say, don't look at them as the blueprint. We have a source, and they don't go by the source all the time. So never say to a Muslim, especially a revert, yeah, but these people who are Muslims do that. Don't say that to me. And that's why we have to have a consistent pattern. So back to the square, man, as it relates to our kids. I believe as Muslim dads and Muslim moms, we should spare nothing that we hold valuable in terms of our mind, our money, our time, to make our children's Islamic identity preserved and saved. Make Friday big to them. We all have to eat together on this Friday. We all have to get up knowing everybody take a ghusl, everybody dress, even if they're not going to go to Jummah. On the day of the Eid, make them kids feel Allahu Akbar. And don't let it just be about chapatis and curry and this and that. Let it be about, hey, this is part of who we are. And this is one of the reasons the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ana bari'un min kulli Muslim yujami'ul mushrikeen. I'm free from every Muslim who lives with the mushrikeen. Does it mean we can't live in England? No, the meaning of that hadith is you choose to live with non-Muslims and you refuse to hold on to your Islamic identity while simultaneously living with them. So the Jewish person, he dresses the way he wants to dress. He puts the hat on, his hair, and he doesn't care. And we say, Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, sirat al-ladhina an'amta alayhim, ghayr al-maghdubi alayhim wal-dhalin. He's not scared. She's not afraid. And here we come, the people of Tawheed in Islam, and we want to apologize. So we have to definitely make an effort concerning those issues.
Definitely. I mean, when it comes to our festive period and our Eids, we need to go all out.
All out with what is halal. And that's what I tell my peoples. We're going to party until the wheels fall off, but with what is permissible. But this brings us to another important issue, and that is when you marry women who are Jews and Christians. So Muslim men can marry women who are Jews and Christians. Now, if you marry one of them, and it's permissible. It's permissible. And if you marry that Jewish lady or that Christian lady, by default, you're going to love her. You don't love her kufr, but you love her. Like you love your mother who's a non-Muslim. People say you can't love your mother once you become a Muslim. Are you serious, man? So now when you marry those women, and it's permissible, you need to really consider that. What's going to happen when Christmas time comes? What's going to happen? So that hadith, I'm free from every Muslim that lives with the mushrikeen. He told us the reason why in the hadith. He said, La tatara'a naruhuma, because their fires don't coexist. One of their fires is going to consume the other one. So if you're in their society is going to consume you. And I tell you this, and I tell you for free, and straight up and down. Like 6 o'clock, I'm Abu Usamah, I'm giving dawah. You think I don't have challenges with some of my children as it relates to their Islamic identity? Meaning, my boy wants to make his hair into an afro. I say, make your hair into an afro, little homie. I ain't got no problem with that. But keep your afro symmetrical. Keep your afro looking fly and nice. Don't make an afro where it's all wild all over the place because Fulan, Alan, the rap artist, that's what he's doing. Make the afro nice. Oh, Abby, I want to put braids in my hair. Well, don't put dreads in your hair like that. You put braids because culturally we did that in Africa and this and that, and braids don't mean negativity in that part of our culture. No problem. So we are all dealing with kids at a time where it's very difficult to be a child. So as a father, I can't be rough and tough all the time. You know, I have that personality where it can be my way or it's the highway. But I can't be like that in 2021. I have children who are being bombarded by the evil of algorithms and the evil of social media. So as parents, we got to like cool out a little bit and really calm down, and get in the minds and the hearts of these babies. Sure. And when I say babies, I'm talking about 13, 14, 15, 20, because they babies. They babies.
No. Another situation, Shaykh, is responding to festive greetings. You know, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, even Happy Diwali. You know, as Muslims, you know, what is our response? What do we say back to these festive greetings?
It's not permissible. We don't say that to people. If people say to us, Merry Christmas, we say, Allah yahdik.
Mm.
And we say in a nice way. We don't say in a condescending way. Allah yahdik means Allah guide you. So a person says to you, Merry Christmas, and you say, Allah yahdik. No, not like that. That's clearly evil. Allah told us, وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ خَيْرًا or husna. Say to the people goodness. So he says to you, Merry Christmas. Allah guide you. Something like that. No problem. As it relates to Diwali, I'm glad you mentioned that. In Diwali, they have those firecrackers and those fireworks.
Yeah.
Throughout the course of the year, I buy firecrackers. A really good friend of mine from Manchester, a really beautiful young brother, made Hajj with him, and I'm close to his family. His sister's an optometrist. She helped me, subhanAllah, at her detached retina. Wow. And that sister found it, man. May Allah bless that girl.
Ameen.
Sister Fatima, may Allah bless you and bless your family. Anyway, this brother buys these serious firecrackers for my kids. I'm talking about the serious ones. So instead of allowing my kids to become obsessed with, matches, let me supervise them. Let me allow them to light these firecrackers with me watching them, as opposed to behind my back, the little boy goes and so we blow them up, and there's some serious firecrackers. When I was young, we used to have M80s, cherry bombs, and it was just the noise. These things be blowing up. So in Leeds, I had a bunch of those things. And then during the Diwali, they were on sale. We brought some of them because they were discounted. We brought them and we blew them up. We didn't blow them up celebrating Diwali. We blew them up because our kids sat out there, stood out there all together, boys and girls. And when those things started blowing up, seeing the joy of our children losing their minds in front of our masjid, brother, it brought joy to my eye. I was so happy I came up with the idea. The point here is, we have to separate between celebrating and taking advantage. So we don't say to them, Merry Christmas. We don't say to them those things. We could say to them, good morning. We could say good morning. Have a nice weekend. We could say things like that are in the culture and the things that are nice, and they just regular, generic, nice statements. We could say that. But as for Merry Christmas and things like that, again, it would be a classic case of a person saying something which would suggest he is indicating this thing is okay.
Jazakallah khair. I want to conclude here, inshallah. Thank you so much for your time. Before we conclude, inshallah, just to let the brothers and sisters know that this will be available to watch on YouTube. So it is being recorded for those who missed the webinar live. Unfortunately, we started at a really late time. We apologize for that. I don't know if we've got any questions. Okay, we've got some questions. We'll go through the questions, inshallah ta'ala. If I've got a brother who's just going to give me the questions. Shaykh, okay for some questions, inshallah?
How much time have we been doing this now?
To be honest, we've been doing it for just over an hour, correct?
Inshallah, I'll do the questions because I want to take this opportunity just to give a shout out to some of the people who are brand new to Islam.
MashaAllah.
Like this sister back in Brooklyn, New York, Nene, I think her name is, connected to the Al-Hadi crew. The Al-Hadi is always making it do what it got to do. May Allah Ta'ala guide you. And also in Liver and Leeds as well, we have some people who are tuned in, inshallah, who are reverts, C and other people. So we just want to give a shout out to all of those people, back in New Jersey, Rahim and these people. May Allah Ta'ala bless you guys and just keep you balanced. Stay around the balanced people. Avoid those extreme people. Whether they're the hardcore Sunni, stay away from them people. Whether they're the radical extreme, going to blow everything up, stay away from them people. Just be with the natural, normal people who know what they're talking about, and they're giving you that old-time religion. That old-time religion that goes along with the fitrah, not the old-time religion, your hawa, your desires. So for them, maybe one of them are going to have a question. So, okay, we'll stick around. Tfaddal.
Bismillah. So the question is, Shaykh, as for receiving gifts, can we eat food from them?
Can we eat food? We answered that question.
Yeah.
You can eat the food, just don't eat the meat. If the meat is not halal, if you eat the hit him in the head meat, you know, the meat of the Christians and the Jews, some people can do that. They believe it's okay. If you eat that meat, then no problem. But if the meat is slaughtered for other than Allah, don't eat that. Don't eat that. But if you eat the hit him in the head meat, وَطَعَامُ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ حِلٌّ لَكُمْ, the food of those people before you is halal for you. So some people believe all they have to do is say Bismillah over the Mickey D Big Mac, you eat it. That's what he believes. So if your moms, your pops are feeding you that, go ahead and eat it, no problem. So you can eat their food. But if the meat is slaughtered for other than Allah, you can't eat that food. So if I went back to America, I'm going to eat my mom's apple pie, and I'm going to eat my mom's food that she cooks. Yeah, no doubt about it. And she cooks halal too.
MashaAllah.
If I'm back there. She has halal meat in her freezer. So that when I come, or when any Muslim brother goes to visit her, any Muslim sister where I come from, my mom's going to give them halal.
MashaAllah. We'll go to the next one, inshallah. Receiving Christmas greeting cards.
It's not permissible to take those cards. Anything that is being clear, like Merry Christmas, things like that, Happy Holidays, where the suggestion is the acceptance of the premise of the holiday. We have to say, nah, I don't take this, and we explain why. We just don't leave people hanging in space, not knowing why you're being weird. Why are you being weird? Now, I'm not being weird. I have a mabda. This is why I don't take it. And you explain it in a nice way.
Jazakallah khair.
There are Christians who don't believe in Christmas.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'm not a Christian. What's the problem? There are Christian preachers who preach against. There's this cat from America. He's a African American preacher. He talks very tough against his congregation and against Christians about stuff that they're doing. His name is, I forgot his name. I mean, he's a very strong preacher. I tell brothers, he's back in Philly. Y'all need to go and give that man some dawah instead of pushing his agenda that you have about fighting other people on the sunnah. Go get that man some dawah. Inshallah, perhaps perchance he'll start giving dawah to his community if he became a Muslim. He makes inkar about how women come to church. He makes inkar about when they come to church, they mix. He shows in the Bible how men's supposed to be over here and women over there. He makes inkar about why they eat pork and you shouldn't eat pork. So one of the things he talks against is Jesus in the Bible and the illustration of Jesus that they believe in. He talks about all that. So there are Christians who don't believe in that. Christians who don't believe in that Christmas stuff.
تفضل and we'll take more. How many more do you have?
Someone's asked to briefly speak about Santa.
Okay. Sheikh, someone asked to speak about Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas.
Santa Claus. Anytime I see Santa Claus when I'm in America, he's like in Macy's or somewhere, he's walking around. I look at Santa Claus, man. I just want to do him one. Santa Claus is a problem because it's such a fictitious character. And I'll make this very brief. In Islam, we worship Allah alone because Allah Azza wa Jal created us. He created us. They say, Ya Rasulullah, what's the worst sin? He said, the worst sin, and tushrika billahi wa huwa khalaqaka, that you worship other than Allah when Allah is the one that created you, and you go and give your ibadah to someone else. So now, here it is. My mother and my father, they were poor. They both worked, and they worked hard. Starting from September, whenever they started buying us gifts for Christmas. I want a bike. My brother wants a bike. My sister wants a bike. We want clothes, sneakers, trainers. We want this toy. Each child wants $100 worth of stuff. We don't have that kind of money. Each child wants $100, $200 worth of stuff. Plus they have to pay rent. Plus they have to pay other bills. We don't have that money. So in keeping up with the culture, and this is a problem with the culture, my moms and my pops would buy these toys leading up to Christmas. They hide in it. And then on Christmas Eve when we go to sleep, my mother and my father would bring those toys under the tree and this and that. And we would go to sleep and wake up 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. My sisters and I, my brother, we would walk tiptoes, scared out our wits that we're going to bump into Santa Claus. What Santa Claus? The white Santa Claus. We start walking to the living room, and then you have to pass the kitchen. And in the kitchen, there would be a glass of milk and some cookies with crumbs. And we were like, whoa, Santa was here. Santa Claus was here. It was just freaking us out, the whole thing. Yo, let's go. We go in, and when we look in the room, oh, man, the lights and the gifts, man, it will blow you away. An out-of-body experience. Like wind will be blowing. Whoo, that's how you feel. Whoa. An ambiance, man. And then, but we couldn't open the gifts, but we just couldn't believe it. And then we'll go back and get in our rooms, and we couldn't believe it, could barely sleep. You fall asleep. You wake up to smelling what, my mom's was cooking in the kitchen, and we like, yo, let's go, me and my brother. We go in there, and we start ripping open the boxes. Yo, look at this, yo, look at that. Look what Santa Claus brought us. Look what Santa Claus brought us. And I say, what kind of lunacy is that? That I work hard, and I bust my back, and I sweat and I bleed. And then I'm going to tell my kids that an overweight Caucasian rode on the back of some reindeer and came down a chimney that we don't even have. I live in the projects. And we ain't got no chimney. And if we found a Caucasian in our neighborhood with gifts, he's in trouble. Him, his reindeer, all the gifts, it's all fictitious. But they had us believing in that hocus pocus. So what's the difference between that and al-yarmi? What's the difference between that when you hear the adhan and they say Muhammadur Rasulullah and you kiss your fingers and put them on? What's the difference? I'm not trying to be funny and put anybody down, but that's just khurafat. We believe in that stuff for taking a black string and tying it on the car to prevent your car from getting into an accident. The dream catcher, the horseshoe, the rabbit's foot, the cat's eye. What is that? But the Santa Claus thing, to this very day, I say, my people are really messed up. My people are messed up. Back in Africa where we came from, we didn't have this Santa Claus stuff. And then we want to, the younger people, they get a little bit, more information. They say, okay, we're going to do Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa and these other celebrations that are an alternative to Christmas, I think it's better. But even in those celebrations, it's just a step over. I don't say it's always a step up, because it's usually another form of shirk and kufr. If it's not coming from Allah, it's going to be a problem. And that's why the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to his companions, Inna Allah abdalakum ma huwa khayru minhu. Allah has exchanged all of these other celebrations that you did in Jahiliyyah. He exchanged it with that which is better. We have celebrations in Al-Islam that make sense. Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr, the Friday, you have a baby, you get married, so you get an aqiqah, you get the walima. Today I came from the party we had for a young brother who memorized the Quran. So we had a party. Why we have a party? Umar radiyallahu anhu in the Muwatta of Imam Malik said that Nafi' said that Abdullah ibn Umar said that his father Umar radiyallahu anhuma, it took him 12 years to memorize Surah Al-Baqarah. And after memorizing Surah Al-Baqarah, Umar slaughtered a camel and invited the people for a party. So your kid memorized the Quran. Your kid graduated. We're going to have a party. It makes sense. My kid has done something. As for this nonsense, So let us worship Allah Ta'ala with knowledge. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى حَرْفٍ. From the people of those who worship Allah, they don't know what they're doing. We don't want to be like that. We don't want to be like that. That's what I have to say about Santa Claus, that joker.
I think we'll take one more, inshallah ta'ala. One more. Make sure it's a question that we've not covered through the whole webinar, inshallah.
So this person said that they're a Reba, and they're asking if it's okay for them to visit their parents during this time of the year because they're very lonely and they don't really have anyone else around them.
Right, okay. So the question is, inshallah, the brother's a revert, and is it okay to visit his parents at this time of the year just because they've not got anyone else to go to and they feel lonely during this period?
Allahumma na'am. It's okay. There's going to be a nostalgic atmosphere there. It's the holidays. You know how these people get, how they get. And you're visiting them at that time makes them more happy. But still, it doesn't change the complexion of what I said one iota. You go there to visit them and to be with them, not to do anything of Christmas, but to put joy in their heart, to give them dawah, to let them know, look, Dad, I don't really believe in this stuff, Santa Claus and all this stuff because of this. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with, but I love you guys. Let's believe in Allah. And you help them cook the cake and this and that. And you give your parents love. Again, I don't understand, fellas, brothers, sisters. I don't understand. Maybe somebody else. But I don't understand this mess of I don't like my mother. I don't like my father. Now, I know some people have that situation, and it's because a lot of drama has transpired. So I'm not dismissing that. It's the way it is because the mother was a problem. The father was a problem. I'm not addressing that. I am sensitive to that. What I'm talking about is unnecessarily having beef, static with our moms. Your mom, Dukes, that's your mother. So why not go and give her love? Why not? There's nothing wrong with that in this deen.
Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, we're not going to leave the last person out.
All right, okay, bismillah.
So this person asked the question 2 times, that's what I said.
All right, okay.
He says, what advice do you have for a Reba in dealing with a Christian family who are very cultural in the sense that the children don't have much of a voice in terms of like speaking up to them or even giving dawah?
Right, okay, so this question is the person's family, they're really the Christian background and the culture. It's really hard to have a voice against them when you want to give da'wah. You want to speak to them about your religion and what you believe and the truth of it, but they don't give you that voice.
I mean, just overnight, because a person becomes a Muslim doesn't mean suddenly he's going to have the gift of gab. He's going to have a mouthpiece to be able to say the truth. He grew up in a family where his voice was muzzled, where his spirit was suffocated. Now he became a Muslim and suddenly he's going to turn into a superhero with his parents. No, he's probably going to stay the same way. So make a lot of dua. Call on the one who hears. Call on the one who changes the hearts. Ya muqallib al-qulub. Oh, the turn of the hearts. Rasulullah made dua against for Abu Huraira's mother, who Abu Huraira can deal with his moms. So make a lot of dua and ask Allah in your dua to guide them. Ask Allah to make you strong, to give you hikmah. And remember the ayat of the Quran. Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'idhati al hasana wajadilhum billati hiya ahsan. Call the people to the way of your Lord with wisdom and with a good preaching, and argue with them in the way that is best. Be respectful, be intelligent. And the best dawah is in the way you treat them. Ibrahim, he didn't have a voice with his father as such. His father was tough. The image we get of his father, Azar, was, yo, Ibrahim, we throwing you in the fire, man. Your parents, our parents ain't trying to throw us in the fire. Ibrahim's dad and his people was like, yo, we going to knock you out bringing that stuff over here. So what did Ibrahim continue? Ya abati. He began to argue with them. Who broke these idols? We heard there was a young man by the name of Ibrahim. Ask him. He said, no, don't ask me. You know who broke them? The big one broke them. The biggest one broke the other two. They say, Ibrahim, you know he can't speak. He said, so ask the big one why he break them. They said, you know he can't speak. He said, well, if he can't speak, what are you worshiping him for? And then they got mad. They said, put him in the fire because they couldn't deal with his arguments. So you may have a voice that is muzzled, but ikhwani, the book of Allah, the Quran, we have to learn that Quran, all of us. Go back to that Quran, read that Quran. In it is the story of the Sabiqeen al-Awwaleen, those people who came before us. Every argument, every situation, a good father with a bad son, a good son with a bad father, a good wife with a bad husband, a good husband with a bad wife. All of that is throughout the Quran. You're going to see your situation in that Quran. You're going to see your situation in the Sunnah. But as a revert, if you just going along and Islam feels good, it ain't enough. You're a Muslim, learn your religion. And lastly, I want to say, the only Islam that Allah is going to accept from us, Yawmul Qiyamah, is the Islam that resembles what those companions were upon. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Aisha, Khadija, and the rest of those companions, may Allah be pleased with them. If those companions were not doing that thing, worshiping Allah, believing in that thing, they were not celebrating, they wasn't saying happy birthday, they were not doing these things, then we shouldn't do it. That's the dawah that we call to. And I say to any and everybody, inshallah, try to support the brothers who are putting on this program right here at IslamWise, coming out of Green Lane. Another one of the many very important arms of the dawah here at GLM. May Allah Azza wa Jal bless all the brothers here. Bless us, bless the brothers here, and bless you reverts. And may Allah guide our mothers and our fathers to this deen. Wallahi, if my mom's become a Muslim, I don't know what I'm going to do. My dad too. So guys, in the meantime, in between time, I'm asking you, requesting from you, make dua for my moms. Miss Mamie Star. May Allah bless you all.
Ameen. Inshallah, we'll conclude with that. This has been the next chapter covering faith, families, and festivities. Alhamdulillah. It will be available on the IslamWise YouTube channel, inshallah ta'ala. Again, we apologize for starting later than scheduled. I would like to thank Shaykh Abu Usamah for spending his time and sharing with us here at IslamWise GLM. Alhamdulilah Rabbil Alameen. Subhanak Allahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Maghfiratuh.